All right, all right. What's going on, guys? Ray Yerg's back here. Just Sayin Update Show. Hopefully, all guys are having a great evening. It's been about a week since the last episode. Sorry about the previous broadcast about a couple minutes ago. I gotta keep checking and make sure that I'm not muted before I start talking. But nonetheless, um, just have the Yankees and the Rays game on in the background. Yankees still down 5-4, but Giancarlo Stanton just hit a monster bomb to left center, and that ball went far. Um, these two teams, when they play each other, home runs galore. Again, I think I saw a stat: 24 home runs in like 38 innings, 39 innings in this whole entire series for the whole season so far. I mean, this is insane. Balls are flying out here. I'm glad they brought the regular season baseballs back instead of the postseason baseballs, because if you watch the games last week, forget it. But nonetheless, before we get into topics, don't forget, go check me out on Twitter at the Real Ray Yergs. Don't forget to follow. Go check out all my content on the Just Saying podcast series. You can find that on Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find it. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, so you never miss an update, and leave feedback, leave some comments. Always welcome. Get into the show really quick here. Sad day today in the music industry. Eddie Van Halen passed away. We all know, if you guys are all into rock, Van Halen's easily one of the greatest bands of all time. Eddie Van Halen, I've put him in my top 5 guitarists of all time for a long time. He's up there with Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page. He's one of the best that were ever to live. Such a tremendous talent. The band is just amazing. One of my favorite bands of all time. So very sad to hear that he ended up at 65 years old. Still pretty young. Very sad to hear that. But nonetheless, we listen to some of his music, cherish it while we can still listen to it. Just a sad day in the music industry. Next into it, though, we'll get right back. MLB playoffs, they've been fire. They've been unbelievable the last 2 days. Even last week with the playing rounds, with the best of 3. I thought it was pretty cool to see those series, but I think in the end, the better teams are always going to end up winning. So it seems like it kind of could have been just like a waste of time. Best of 3 series, as we all know, the teams that are in it right now are the best teams in the MLB. They you give the teams like the Reds a shot and everything, but I mean, they just couldn't get past the Braves. Low scoring games, but they just couldn't do enough to get past them. They're just not there yet, but they'll end up being a team like that. Will end up being, feel bad for the White Sox. I thought they really had the best chance. They have a really bright future, though. Twins and Indians, I mean, you get what you get. The Twins are just frauds, and they've lost 18 in a row. And the Indians, they've been through a lot of transition the last couple of years, so kind of odd to see what kind of direction that they're still trying to head in. They've got rid of a lot of players. Lindor is going to be hitting free agency, so he's going to want to get paid. So it's going to be tough for them. But aside from that, the best teams are there right now. Now, if you listen to my podcast earlier in the season, before the MLB season restart, I did a breakdown of the American League and the National League, and I stated that the Phillies were going to win the National League. Now, we all know that the Phillies are not in the playoffs, but I did pick the Houston Astros to win the World Series. That's right. I think leading up to this into the playoffs, I think that the Astros kind of just did enough of what they needed to do to get into the playoffs, knowing that they had 8-team expanded playoffs. They let Oakland just run with the division. They knew that 500 was probably going to get them into the playoffs, regardless. And if they needed to amp it up a little bit, they have the talent to do it. I think they just sat back, relaxed, and stayed healthy, and got on fire for the playoffs. and it's clearly shown. Yesterday they win game 1 against the A's 10-5. Today they win game 2 5-2. They're up 2-0 in the series, looking to close it out tomorrow since we know that the teams are all playing 5 straight days, no days off. So they're looking to close it out tomorrow and get that extra rest. And that's where I'm going with, because I'm sticking with them. I am sticking with the Astros winning the World Series. Um, aside from that, Yankees put on a show last night. They're putting on a show again tonight. So is Tampa Bay. This is going to be a grinding series. Tampa Bay, if they get this victory here, this series can go 5 games. I see that this game going 5 games, but I see a lot of runs being scored, and I see a lot of runs being scored throughout all the games. We saw more runs in the Braves and Marlins. Listen, Marlins had some opportunities. They couldn't capitalize that with a one bad inning in the 7th where the Braves scored 6 runs. It was too bad for them earlier today. But fun stat on the Marlins is that they've never lost a playoff series. And they won the play-in round, best of 3, against the Cubs. And they've never lost a playoff series. They have 2 World Series to show for it. Now, what's even more mind-blowing to me is that I did not even realize or fathom that this was the first time they were in the playoffs since 2003, since the last time they won the World Series. That is 17 years ago, and I could have sworn you just feel like the Marlins were in the playoffs one other year, but nope, they weren't. But they fall behind they fall behind a game, but it'd be tough for them to come back. Atlanta has really picked up the bats in the last 2 games. The closing game against the Reds, they picked up the bats late in the game. So today they picked up the bats even more. So they're right back to their old ways of winning. So I wouldn't anticipate this series going very long with the Braves and Marlins. But everybody's looking forward to the big game tonight, Padres, Dodgers. Nothing would give me more joy to see the Dodgers lose. I continue to say it. I can't stand this team just like the Yankees. I want to see the Dodgers continue to lose. They pay all this money, they have all this talent, and they continue to lose. Nothing greater than that. But that's going to be an exciting series. I would expect a lot of runs to be scored. I would expect a lot of home runs. I think it's going to go 5. I'm going to be rooting for the Padres. So that's where I'm going. Texans finally fired Billy Boy. I've been saying it for weeks on my shows, on the podcast, on everything that I've been doing. Until Bill O'Brien got fired, the Texans were not going to win. He has destroyed this team. He has held them back. He has set them up for failure for the future, and the organization should be ashamed of themselves. Deshaun Watson deserves better than this team that the organization has put around him. And it's really sad because he should demand a trade and go to another team that's more worthy of his talent and to go win a Super Bowl, because this team ain't doing it. It's an utter failure for Bill O'Brien. He should have been fired 2 years ago. Should have been fired last year. Should have been fired not even before a game. He should have been fired after game 1, after week 1. He's traded all their talented players away. He's got no draft picks going out forward for this team. So this team going forward for the next 2 years is in dire straits, and they need to try and figure out something in order to get draft picks back. But the Texans did get better yesterday by firing Billy O'Brien, the only successful, we'll call him successful, somewhat successful head coach stemming from the Bill Belichick tree. But is what it is. Here we go. NFL recap, power rankings. Another great week in week 4 NFL. Colts end up prevailing over the Bears. Another good win for my team right there. They go to 3-1 on the season after, man, they really should be 4-0. It's too bad that they lost against that Jacksonville Jaguars team in week 1. I mean, they just kind of fell apart and they were up. Still upset about them, still hurt about that. But they go to 3-1. They win 3 straight. As I said in my pick show, I did take the Colts -3. That cashed easily, and the reason why was because the Bears were just due for a letdown loss. Nick Foles coming in was great. Bears were 3-0. They got lucky a couple times. Nick Foles comes in, plays better when he comes in back up. Not so good as a starter. The Bears were due for a huge letdown game, and it surely showed. Um, but hey, we get the victory. Bucks continue to look very impressive. They rolled. They came back down. They were down 24-7. Tom Brady brought them back, and they end up winning 38-31. I haven't been high on the Bucks. They're kind of proving me wrong. I said they were an 8 or 9 win team. They were just overhyped. They kind of been getting a little bit lucky, if you think about it, but the win's the win, so they tally up at the end of the season. So good for them. They look strong. And I'll get that to my power rankings in just a couple minutes. But besides that, the Bears, I'm sorry, the Browns. Browns look really impressive. Their offense is extremely, extremely talented and clicking finally on all cylinders as to what we thought that the team was going to be. They are every week they've been putting up 30 plus. They've been putting up a lot of points. They put up 49 points against the Cowboys. Listen, the Cowboys 1-3. This team is bad. Cowboys are a bad team. Their defense is atrocious. If you listen to my pick show again, and I will say, I will keep riding that train until the wheels fall off. The overs are cashing like crazy. They're 4-0 to the over. Take them again this week. I don't even care what the number is. I don't know what the number is, but they're going to be on it. So the defense is bad. The players are giving up. It's in a bad situation with the Cowboys right now. The Eagles are in first place with a 1-2-1 record in that division. Think about that. 1-2-1, and they're in first place. Terrible. This division's terrible. They shouldn't even get a playoff spot. Cowboys are hurting. They're awful. Bills continue to impress. They look strong. And with the Patriots losing against the Chiefs on Monday night, they fall to 2-2. The Bills go to 4-0. 2-game lead in the division. Whew, man, they're playing really well. Defense is clicking. Offense is clicking. Josh Allen looks like a potential MVP candidate. Not going to make it there. It's Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson for MVP. Those have been my picks. I keep saying Russell Wilson, and I'm going to keep saying Russell Wilson until it happens. But Seattle wins again. They go on the road and beat Miami. They move to 4-0. Packers win again. They move to 4-0 against the Falcons. Chiefs won again. They move to 4-0. Ravens win. More overs. A lot of great games. Saints get back on the board as they pick up a much needed victory against the Lions. Down 14-0 early. They come back rattle off 35 straight points. But that was a huge victory for them. They really needed that. If they fell to 1-3, they weren't really going to challenge the Bucs in the division. But they're still only a game behind, and they have it up on the Bucs because they beat them week 1 in the season already. So that's a plus. But many other games to talk about. But I'm probably going to do a normal. I haven't done one in a while. Normal podcast show. I'm probably going to get more in depth on a lot of the NFL recaps. I'm going to do an NFL recap show on the podcast, and I think it'll be more fun and more in depth. But with the power rankings, I tweeted out earlier. So just saying podcast NFL power rankings. I put the Chiefs at number 1, moved up 3 spots since my last power rankings. Packers at number 2, they stayed at number 2. Seahawks at number 3, they fell down 2 spots. I had them number 1 previously. Bills, who are not in my Power Five, are number 4, and the Bucks, who are not in my Power Five, are number 5. Um, Top 3 teams still are still in the same, just different orders. Um, I think the Chiefs, playing some tougher teams, the last couple of weeks has bumped them up to number 1, where the Seahawks kind of played a little bit weaker team, so they kind of bumped them down. Packers, I probably could have moved up to number 1, but they've just kind of stayed neutral. They've been putting up the same amount of points, but they played the Falcons this week, so I didn't think it was justifiable to move them to number 1 after they played the Falcons, who we know is a weak team. As a side where the Chiefs, I mean, the Chiefs and the Patriots game, that was a great game going up until it was a great game all around. It was really great, and even in the first half, even though it was 6-3 at halftime, and they ended up throwing up a lot of points in the second half. But 6-3 is a lot of back and forth. Chiefs look lost. Looked like Bill Belichick had them under control for a while. The defense. Imagine if Cam was actually playing that game where they could have been in the first half when they had some multiple opportunities that they could have scored. They could have easily been up probably 21-7 at halftime, maybe even more. So that shows you how much Cam Newton is very important to that team. Hoyer just couldn't get it done. Stidham comes in, had a couple of good plays, but then Stidham, he's a rookie. I mean, he's inexperienced. I mean, what do you expect? Throw a couple picks. You either go with him or Hoyer. It's really a 50-50, and you're just trying to strike lightning in a bottle at that point. But Chiefs end up prevailing. They get the victory. They continue to roll after they struggled in the first half. They've made the right adjustments in halftime to perform well offensively, just like we've known them to do the last several weeks, which they've just been unstoppable. But nonetheless, those are my Power 5 rankings. We'll see how those pan out this week. Another game, what's it, Tuesday? Got another Thursday game this week, so that'll be fun. A lot of great NCAA football stuff going on. Haven't really talked much about NCAA football. To be fair, I haven't really paid close enough attention to it to where I started wanting to start talking about it. Alabama, we know that they're winning like crazy. Clemson too. I'm more interested until when Big Ten comes back. Ohio State Buckeyes fan, so when they come back is when I'll probably start really getting in depth, because that's who I'm going to be following, and I think that they can probably squeeze into the top 4. Funny thing though, last week when the rankings came out, the Raging Cajuns were 3-0, ranked number 19, and then the rankings came out, and Wisconsin jumped ahead of them, and Raging Cajuns jumped out to top 25, which is odd because at the time the Raging Cajuns were 3-0. Then they moved outside of the top 25, and Wisconsin had still yet to play a game, moved into the top 25. So does that make any sense? No. That the whole rankings thing just kind of pisses me off sometimes, and it's weird. But I will say this about NCAA. Teams that will not be in the NCAA playoff: Oklahoma, bad loss. Texas, embarrassing loss this weekend against TCU. And I'm going to say it, LSU will not be in the playoff after losing the first week to Mississippi State. But if you really want to get me a top 4 who I think will end up being in it, I'm going to go with the same ones all over again. Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, Florida. That's going to be my top 4. Throw it out there now without even having really been paying much attention to it, but that's what I'm going to go with. Let's see, any topics that we want to talk about on the show today? No, we'll save some of this stuff for the podcast show. Got to that. Yeah, that's probably about it. Hit some of the points, the topics I want to talk about. MLB playoffs, that's really the big one I've been watching this week. I've been paying really close attention to MLB playoffs. Not unlike MLB postseason. There really isn't. MLB postseason's just, it's got that great feel, that great October feel. So even no matter who's playing, even though the Red Sox aren't in it, it's still enjoyable. I'll watch anybody. As I said, I'm sticking with the Astros on the World Series victory, so that's who I'm staying with. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting week this week to see who makes it to the championships and who win to get a shot at winning the pennant. But all right, that's the update show. Real quick, Trump beats COVID. Big headline news. It's everywhere. Clearly, the last couple of days, everybody have been following it. Several days. What do I say about that? I don't know. Media's going up in a frenzy. It's great entertainment. Let's just put it that way. It's great entertainment in the political world. If you, it's like watching a movie. It's like watching a free movie every day, every minute. Funny stuff. I'm Ray Yergs. This was the Just Saying Update Show. Hope you guys have a great night.